we are going to be talking about logic chains. We have been working with conditional statements the past few days, and a logic chain is a continuation of this topic. A logic chain is several conditional statements linked together. The link occurs when the hypothesis of one conditional is the conclusion of the previous conditional. Here's an example. If A, then B. If B, then C. If C, then D. Notice that B is the conclusion of the first conditional and the hypothesis of the next conditional. This creates the link. There are many examples of logic chains in literature. Although they may not always repeat exactly as our A, B, C, D example does, and may not always use if, then specifically, you can see the progression. The example we are going to look at is If You Give a Mouse a Cookie by Laura Joffe Numeroff. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a glass of milk. When you give him the milk, he'll probably ask you for a straw. When he's finished, he'll ask for a napkin. Then he'll want to look in a mirror to make sure he doesn't have a milk mustache. When he looks into the mirror, he might notice his hair needs a trim. So he'll probably ask for a pair of nail scissors. When he's finished giving himself a trim, he'll want a broom to sweep up. He'll start sweeping. He might get carried away and sweep every room in the house. He may even end up washing the floors as well. When he's done, he'll probably want to take a nap. So you'll have to fix up a little box for him with a blanket and a pillow. He'll crawl in, make himself comfortable, and fluff the pillow a few times. He'll probably ask you to read him a story. So you'll read to him from one of your books, and he'll ask to see the pictures. When he looks at the pictures, he'll get so excited he'll want to draw one of his own. He'll ask for paper and crayons. He'll draw a picture. When the picture is finished, he'll want to sign his name with a pen. Then he'll want to hang his picture on your refrigerator, which means he'll need Scotch tape. He'll hang up his drawing and stand back to look at it. Looking at the refrigerator will remind him that he's thirsty. So he'll ask for a glass of milk. And chances are, if he asks for a glass of milk, he's going to want a cookie to go with it. So what is the conclusion of a logic chain? In the case of our literature example, the story looped back to the beginning. However, not every logic chain loops. In fact, most do not. Let's look at how to determine the conclusion of the logic chain. The conclusion of the logic chain is the hypothesis from the first conditional and the conclusion from the last conditional. Let's consider our A, B, C, D example from earlier. If we take the hypothesis from the first and the conclusion from the last, the conclusion of the logic chain is if A, then D. Notice that when we are looking for the conclusion, parts that have been repeated, in this case B and C, are no longer present. When the hypothesis and conclusion repeat, they cancel out, leaving only the two pieces that do not repeat. Let's consider our literature example. Although the entire book loops, let's consider a piece of the story to use the same idea. Remember, in literature, it does not all necessarily look like a logic chain. We will focus on the first half of our story. To find our conclusion, we take the hypothesis of our first conditional and the conclusion from our last. So our conclusion is, if you give a mouse a cookie, he might notice that his hair needs a trim. Everything else in the middle cancels out.